Hey everybody, I'm Brad Polumbo, and you're watching Brad Reacts, brought to you by Fee, a series where we react to and debunk the craziest and cringiest political content that's going viral on social media. Now today, given the recent tragedy in Uvalde, Texas, we're going to take a look at some of the worst and most inconsistent and illogical gun control takes and attacks on the Second Amendment that we've seen pushed in the aftermath of this emotional incident. This first take is just so cringe. Do it, we dare you. We'd love that. That sounds wonderful. There are already millions of minorities who own guns, to be clear, and that's part of the point. The right to self-defense is for everybody. According to CNN, the African American community saw a 58% increase in gun purchases in 2020. It's actually gun control that has its roots in racism and population control in this country.
No way.
In fact, the first gun control laws after the Civil War were actually specifically put in place to try to deprive African American people of being able to own firearms and defend themselves. Throughout the 19th and 20th century, we saw facially neutral laws and also overtly racist laws put in place by the government, explicitly attempting to disarm minorities. To be clear, I do not believe that everyone who supports gun control is a racist in 2022. They're just wrong. But maybe don't cast aspersions about racism when your side of the debate is actually the one with its roots in racism. Just a thought. Yeah, so I've been seeing this take everywhere, and boy, it bothers me because no other constitutional right would we accept this kind of argument. Oh, free speech starts at 25. Oh, the police can search you without a warrant until you're 30. No, that's incredibly dumb and inconsistent. The age of adulthood is 18 in America. Maybe we should change it, but it is. And that means that anyone over 18 is entitled to our full constitutional rights, and they cannot be dependent on age or the whims of things like the drinking age.
I thought this was America, huh?
Yes, it is silly and inconsistent that you can buy an AR-15 but not a beer in this country, but that's more of an argument for lowering the drinking age than it is depriving young American adults of their constitutional rights. It's also deeply dishonest to suggest that something like this would actually stop school shootings. Does the drinking age at 21 really stop young people who are determined from getting their hands on alcohol? In the same way, it would not stop a determined killer. In fact, many school shootings, all the way back to Columbine, have had shooters who were underage who simply got someone older to purchase the gun from them. In other cases, they steal the gun from a family member or they otherwise get it illegally. There's no reason to believe that raising the age to buy a gun to 21 would actually stop determined killers, but it would deprive millions of young American adults of our constitutional rights. No thanks. You see these takes everywhere about how the Second Amendment is outdated, and it's so cringe because no, it's not. Yeah, the founding fathers couldn't envision AR-15s, but they also couldn't envision the internet, television, radio, telephones, or any of these things. But guess what? The First Amendment and free speech still apply to those. Believing in the original meaning of the Constitution doesn't mean that we believe that we should live like it's hundreds of years ago. It means that we believe we should take the principles established then, like self-defense and free speech, and apply them to the modern context, rather than judicial activism or just making up new principles or tweaking them to fit our agendas or designs of the moment. The Second Amendment is very much not outdated, and guns are used hundreds of thousands to millions of times in self-defense in America per year. But if you really believe it is, that's fine. Go pass a constitutional amendment. That's how the Constitution is supposed to be updated when it is outdated.
Are you serious?
Oh, you can't do that because most Americans aren't on board? Sounds like your argument's not very good. I hate, and I mean hate, takes like this. First and foremost, universal background checks would not have stopped the Uvalde shooting. The shooter passed multiple background checks. This is true in many cases, especially in school shootings because the shooters are often very young and don't have long criminal records yet. So you're beating people over the head with a solution that they're not supporting that wouldn't even address the issue at hand here. It's also just incredibly horrible and bad faith to accuse people who disagree with you of having blood on their hands. Couldn't it be that they just, from a position of good faith, don't believe the solutions you're proposing would actually work? It's also gross because you're taking the actual responsibility off the killer when you start casting aspersions at other people's whose politics you don't like and saying they hold part of the blame. You're giving the killer a partial pass with that kind of rhetoric, and that's a big nope from me. We can have a debate about gun control, but let's try to do it without accusing the other side, on either side, of supporting murder Alright guys, those are all the terrible takes I can handle in one day. Thanks for watching. This has been Brad Reacts, brought to you by Fee. If you're new here, consider subscribing, sticking around, turning on the bell notification, like this video, comment below and let me know what you thought the worst one of these was, and I'll see you all in the next video.